Welcome to the conversation at airsafe.com. I'm your host, Dr. Todd Curtis. On November 4th, 2010, a Qantas A380, shortly after takeoff from Singapore's airport, experienced engine problems and had to return to land. Although the engine was severely damaged, there was no injuries to the passengers and no other damage to the aircraft. A day later, on November 5th, a 747 of Qantas, about 2 minutes after takeoff from Singapore's airport, also had an engine problem and had to turn around and land. Again, there were no injuries or damage outside of the engine. Both of these incidents have raised some concerns as to whether or not there may be a common problem either with aircraft in the fleet or with that type of engine. In both cases, they were Rolls-Royce engines, the first with the A380 being a Trent 900, and the second involving an RB211 engine on the 747. I spoke with BBC Radio shortly after the second incident.
For a second successive day, a plane operated by the Australian airline Qantas has made an emergency landing in Singapore. The Boeing 747-400 bound for Sydney landed safely. A Qantas spokesperson said that shortly after takeoff, the captain reported a concern about one of the engines. On Thursday, a Qantas Airbus A380 was forced to land in Singapore after an engine failure in flight and debris falling from the plane. Passengers from that flight have arrived back in Sydney. Some of them spoke of their experience.
Pretty horrific, especially if you heard the first bang, and then there was a rather large bang. I was only sitting about 10 feet away from out the window, and you can see there was you can smell smoke for starters, and but all I just want to say is I'd just like to thank the staff on board. They were just absolutely just kept you up to date with what was happening all the time.
We're joined now by Dr. Todd Curtis, an aviation expert and former analyst with Boeing. What do you know? What can you tell us about this latest incident?
Well, there's not much known about the incident. There hasn't been any official investigation, any official report of it. But the one thing that strikes me about these two is that there is one common factor here, both aircraft having taken off from the same airport. Now, that's about the only thing that's obviously connecting the two, because we're talking about two completely different kinds of engines, even though they are both from Rolls-Royce. And apparently two different phases of flight and perhaps two different modes of failure.
Yeah, I mean, Qantas is very famous for having a great safety record, no fatal jet crashes. Do you think that these incidents, two in consecutive days, will affect the passengers' perception of that?
I doubt that, because the one big reason this is getting so much attention is that you had, of course, 2 in 2 days in the same area of the world, which is highly unusual given the usually high reliability of Rolls-Royce engines. So it'll be interesting to see what, if anything, the appropriate investigative authorities find out about these two incidents.
Yeah, I mean, what will be happening now to investigate just exactly what's happened over the last couple of days?
Well, that will depend on the authorities who are involved, but certainly one of the things that Qantas would be doing would be looking at the maintenance records of both of those aircraft, and especially both of those engines, to see if there is some sort of common failure that may have happened in the course of routine maintenance.
Okay, Dr. Curtis, thank you.
For more information, please visit airsafe.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.